Portland, I think, getting close to that.
Yep.
So that claim is completely absurd.
Again. Yeah, and just to answer your question, there's now counting both the FBS, the bowl level college football, and the FCS, the Division IIIs that he specifically mentioned, St. John's, Mankato's. There are 774 college football programs in the country.
That averages 5,000 people.
Exactly right. Okay,
because when you talk about the St. John's, they're going to have maybe 5,000 at a game,
or maybe even less than that, depending on their stadium. I don't know what St. John's Stadium.
So throwing out a national number of 4 million fans doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. You can't do it.
So I mean, you look at that and you say, well, MLS's average game is almost 21,000.
21,000. Yeah.
So.
And that's impressive. I mean, that's probably higher. And I'm not going to say. I'm not even going to say it's probably higher. It's comparable to NFL or not NFL. I'm sorry, NBA and NHL.
It's higher than NHL, and it's comparable to NBA.
Yeah.
And again, so let's go back to the point of the guy saying college or MLS should be like college football.
No,
not going to happen.
No, and it should.
Why even write the article?
It's a weird comparison.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
But now, to your Wall Street Journal article, I had brought this up on text, and I don't even think it was in relation to. Yeah, it was in relation to that. I mentioned how, the last game of the home game of the season.
Yeah.
If we manage to get 50,000 people in that stadium, what does that say about Minnesota United soccer in the state of Minnesota? Because we're all of a sudden going to be well over what the Gophers get in their own stadium.
And I think we talked about this before. I think there's a huge soccer fan base in Minnesota, especially in the metro area.
Yeah, there is. And actually, that's a good point. Like, for example, like the TCF Bank Stadium where the Loons play now, that stadium has a capacity of roughly 50,000 with the upper and lower bowl combined. But it's actually they built that with the possibility of expansion. You know how the East End is open. They could complete the bowls, and the capacity would be about 70,000.
Never going to happen.
It probably won't. It might never happen. But now I was just thinking, there is. We've talked about it over and over on the podcast. There's definitely growth in MLS, and looking at the average attendances, which we just did, there's definitely growth. And you see what Atlanta's doing in their football combined stadium. They're getting 50,000 per game easily. I just wonder, long term, could have the United done something similar, left some expansion room in that stadium? There isn't now. But
I think
to go from maybe someday in the future where you're drawing 19,000 per game, let's say, but maybe 20 years from now, 15 years from now, could you ever see a case where the Loons could be drawing, say, 30 or 40,000 per game?
But to your point, Dave, I think the Loons, especially their owner, looked at it and said, what number of seats can we get to where we know we're going to have a packed house every night?
Yeah.
They want a packed house.
And that helps the atmosphere.
They don't want 30,000 and having 10,000 seats open. They want 19,000 and having it packed every flipping night, especially the first 3 years.
Right.
Because the first 3 years, I have a strong feeling, guys, every one of those games will be a sellout the first 3 years.
Could be. I think it's similar to, the Wild.
The Wild is the same way,
They built XL Energy to be a certain size to where they know they're going to sell it out.
Exactly right.
And now how many years has it been that place has been there?
Yeah.
And, they do a pretty good job of filling it.
And there's a waiting list for their season tickets. Luckily, we have Dave Sterling, who already has season tickets to the United, so we're good to go on a weekly basis.
Unless I end up hating you.
That's not possible. I mean, we're going to split this podcast up. We're going to have Lunacy 1, Lunacy 2.
Is it going to be like a divorce? Who gets Dave?
Well, I don't know. You can have it. You want to do Dave. So anyways, let's get off this topic. Let's talk about some fun stuff.
Yeah, we haven't really... Our podcast, the very first podcast.
Yeah.
A retrospective.
Yes.
We talked about Toys R Us.
Yeah, we did.
We talked about a former porn star doing YouTube videos.
Yep, that's right.
And since then, honestly, we've kind of trailed off that random stuff. We touch here and there on it, but We devoted, I think, a good half an episode to just random stuff.
But I think it's because the season's now started and we're talking more soccer. But as the season ends, I think when we do this into the wintertime...
Well, that's a good point. We don't plan on stopping this podcast when the season is over.
Yeah. In the wintertime, I think we'll talk a little bit about soccer and more about other stuff going on.
Because we won't have games to talk about.
We won't talk games to talk about, so we'll have a random stuff.
Minnesota United, please have stuff to talk about, at least a little.
Yeah, at least a little. We'll talk about...
There's nothing wrong with doing a 5-minute podcast.
We're not doing 5 minutes.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe 50 minutes, but we'll talk about other stuff. But we all went to the Minnesota State Fair on Monday. So just a little background. My family, my wife and I and our kids and my wife's family go to the State Fair every year on the exact same Monday, the first Monday of the State Fair. And so this year I brought it up to the boys. I said, hey, we're going to the State Fair on Monday. You guys want to come? And Dave were like, yeah, we're going to come. And Dave Sterling brought his family, his wife, and his young daughter. And Dave came as well. And what a fantastic time, guys.
It was really fun.
I love the State Fair because, mostly because of the beer now, because they have so many different craft beers. It's ridiculous. You can't even drink all of them in one day. It's just crazy.
I mean, you could.
You could. We went to the Miracle of Life, Miracle of Birth Center with all the girls. Your daughter, Dave, had a great time there. I'm sure
that's where we all met up.
That's where we all met up, yeah.
Though she was terrified of the calf.
Of the baby calf?
Yeah. So we had, there were 2 calves. No, maybe 3 calves. 2 of them were laying down. 1 was standing up. Mm-hmm. And I tried to get her over to the calf that was standing because it was at least being active.
Yeah.
And so she came over. She immediately went to the side of his ass.
Okay.
And so she's like reaching out through the cage trying to pet it. But I'm fairly certain she was just touching his ass.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Don't touch the butt.
That's not good.
Don't touch the butt.
So Sarah managed to get her to come around to the other side with the face. Yeah. And she was immediately terrified.
Oh.
It was like, oh my God, this thing has a face.
Yeah.
But, I got her to kind of pet its head.
Yeah, a little bit.
It started trying to eat the shirt of the little girl next to her.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
And it was like licking it profusely. And we were both like, yeah, that's kind of gross. So we pulled her away.
Pulled her away, yeah.
But, yeah, she liked the baby goats.
The baby, yeah,
she really liked the baby goats.
About they had baby goats, they had baby chickens, baby geese.
Yeah, they had lamb,
all kinds of stuff. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah,
my girls were having a good time. And then actually, it's a funny thing. Before we even got to the Miracle of Birth, we had to stop for your wife wanted coffee from the Java joint place, and I don't know what it is about young kids. But I asked your daughter if she wanted to go see her friends, my kids.
Yeah.
And she actually got on the ground and held my hand down that way, which I don't know what it is with me. Young kids like to hold my hand. And
she won't even hold my hand.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't know.
I'm not offended at all.
I didn't know. But it's weird because I was just asking as kind of a common courtesy, like, do you want to? And she's like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, what? You've only seen me like a couple times.
And that was also, we should note, after she tried to get her fingers stuck in the benches.
Stuck in the benches, yeah. It was. Yeah. She was getting her fingers stuck in the benches, and
it was a little weird.
It was a little weird. We drank a lot of beer. We went to the agriculture building, had our 4 packs of different beers, which was fantastic. Went to Ballpark Cafe and had some more beers. We went in the haunted house, boys.
Yes.
My 6-year-old Nora went back and forth between going to the haunted house for a couple days beforehand. She decided to go. So it was me, my daughter Nora, Dave in the haunted house. Dave Stevens was in front. I was in the middle. Sterling was in back. My daughter Nora got scared after the first guy yelled and screamed at her. So I held her the most of the time. We get to the end. What did What did he do? Like a drum? Or what was it?
I think it was a cymbal.
It was a cymbal.
And it was the worst part about it was, I mean, I kind of knew what was coming throughout that haunted house. Mm-hmm. I had done it once before, and that's why I was most excited to go in with your daughter and you on Monday, was just because, man, it's been almost probably 20 years since I'd last done it. So I wanted to just see what it was all about again. Yeah. But that being said, I knew it was going to be dark. I knew there was going to be people trying to scare and startle you. But the worst part was at the very end, I'm literally looking at the exit sign. Yeah. I was 15 feet away from the exit, and I knew it. So I'm like, oh, it's over. It's all done. Yeah. And yes, right before the end, while I was looking at the exit sign, somebody slammed a cymbal about 3 inches from my ear.
You almost fell down.
I jumped off to the
left.
You
almost fell down.
I literally got started.
You almost fell down. Yeah. It was amazing.
Yeah, from about 10 feet away, from behind, it was hilarious.
Because that one actually, that backfired on me, the last one, because I think going first actually gave me a little bit of an advantage, because I would walk through and I would see out of the corner of my eyes, I'd see something off to my left, but he wouldn't, because he knew there was a group of 4 of us, he wouldn't actually do the worst of his startling until I had already passed him.
Of course.
So not only did I kind of see the guy, I knew what was coming, and he didn't really try and scare me as much as the middle of the group.
Well,
meaning you and Nora, basically.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that whole haunted house is, like I said, my daughter went back and forth for days on doing it, and finally she decided to go. And me being a dad, a tough dad, said, if you want to go, we'll go, but you're going to be scared. No, I'm not going to be scared. And she was scared. But, like I've done previously, when my wife goes, my wife's gone in there numerous times with me. And she gets scared. And all I do is slap the hands of the guys that I'm going by. Hey, how you doing, buddy? How you doing? Good job. Way to go. And then they don't scare you. So doing that with my daughter was kind of like, they can't really touch you unless you touch them. And of course her older sister was telling her all about how it was going to be bad and terrible, and guys were going to touch you and try to strangle you, and they have knives and stuff. I'm like, oh no, they don't have knives. That's just, they can't do that.
That sounds like a liability issue.
Yeah, I know.
You can't be stabbed in a haunted house.
And then I can remind afterwards. I reminded her. I said, these are all actors from the University of Minnesota, where Dave and I went to school. So these are people that me and Dave used to be, and she was like, "Oh, it's okay." So
I wasn't sure if you were just making that up for her benefit, or they actually are actors from the University of Minnesota.
That's true.
That's interesting.
Because we went to when we were at the U, I was in acting class a couple times, and you could do the state fair at the end of the summer for credits. So those are all acting kids from the state fair. That's one of their credits they can do, which is totally fine. We took a picture with our favorite player, Calvo.
That was probably the highlight for me of the fair, meeting the cutout Calvo.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
he didn't have much to say.
But John went and met the cutout Quintero, right? That was who.
I think
it was.
Yeah,
we saw him.
Yeah,
I just waved at him and walked by.
Yeah, and so did I.
Yeah, so we did the Calvo. Yeah.
The funniest thing about that whole booth at the fair, though, of the United area there, was the fact they were selling Ramirez scarves for full price.
Yeah,
I don't think they were even discounted.
That's kind of weird.
Which is like, whatever. And then it kind of goes to the point of Johnny went to and then you went there, to the Fan HQ.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and they were selling an autographed, game-worn Christian Ramirez jersey for $500, which I was shocked. I sent you guys a picture. I was shocked to find out and look at. There's probably 20 jerseys up on the wall. It was probably tied for the most expensive one, or close to the most expensive one, which was surprising, because you had, for example, an autographed Vikings jersey.
Yeah.
Brett Favre. Same price.
What?
So that kind of puts things in perspective.
And see that, and the other thing too is I saw in your picture, I saw the Gary Gaetti jersey. It was going for like $150.
Oh, exactly.
And then Herbeck was like $175.
Yeah,
Like that.
No, that's
Kepler was like $175. I'm like, I would have bought the Gaetti jersey for $150 more than I'd buy the Ramirez for $500.
I couldn't quite figure it out, because yes, I mean, we're all fans of Christian Ramirez here for sure, but to see it try and sell for $500, I think there's a reason it's still on sale. It's still available if anybody would like to run down there in the next 2 days.
So we all had a good time at the fair, guys. I appreciate you guys coming out with us.
Great.
I hope you guys had a good time.
We did.
I think next year, we talked about this, and we'll see if it can happen. I don't know if it can happen or not. I think next year we'll try to do a podcast at the fair.
That'd be pretty cool.
If we can. If we can talk to the Ballpark Cafe or maybe some other place there and do it early enough where they won't be too crowded, I think we'll try to do a podcast. Because I'm telling you guys.
We could show up at, 6 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning before there's 200,000 people.
But you can't drink beer till 9.
No.
So we have to show up at 9.
Well, then we'll have to find a good spot to do it.
Yeah.
Well, if we did the exact same day.
Yeah.
I think